Hi everybody, this is MaDonna from Mad Bees Quilt and Sew, and I'm here today with a quilt project that we had finished just a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to do a three-part session on binding. So today I am starting with, I've picked my quilt up from the quilter. What do I do next? Okay, so the couple of tools that I'm going to need today are a ruler, a cutting mat, and a cutter. So, and I am going to rotary cut. So I'm going to show you a couple different techniques on how to do this, and you get to make the decision of what works best for you. So I have been doing this for a little while, and one of the techniques that many people use is this one. This is a large square, and they will set it down on top of their quilt and try to get their corner to be as consistently square as possible by using this tool. Well, I can tell you, I am not a consistently perfect quilter. So if I get this corner square here, then this one's wonky, and this one's wonky, and this one's straight. So this is not my favorite technique because when you're using such a large square, you're not going to be able to be forgiving. If you can't lay this down perfectly on your table, it's not as forgiving. To be able to come up with a nice square corner here, when I line this up in my corner right here of my sashing, I can look and I can see that's pretty good, but on this side here, well, that actually isn't too bad. I'm about 1/8 of an inch. I am going to lose a little bit of this corner tip here. Am I okay with that? I definitely can be. Okay, so when I played with this a little bit more, I got it better. You know, sometimes that's what it takes too, is just playing with it. And I want to look and see that my binding sashing remains about the same. So right here, I see it changing by about 1/8 of an inch. So what does that mean? Does that mean I need to pull on it a little bit to just move it over a little bit? Sometimes. You know, sometimes it's manipulating the quilt. It's been quilted, so it's shrunk up a little bit. It isn't perfectly flat anymore. If I wanted it to be perfectly flat, I'd almost have to come back out again and press this again to make it all smooth out. So I'm going to look at my corner and see and make a decision for myself what's going to be the best. So that's option number one. Option number two is what I typically do. And by that, I don't use a big square. I move into something a little bit smaller and more manageable for me to handle. I use my traditional ruler. And what I measure when I do this is I actually see how wide my outside border is, and I want to leave it. So right now it's measuring right at about 2 1/8 inches. So I'm out from the very outside edge into the center there, and I'm at about 2 1/8. I'm going to come down here to this corner, and I'm still looking along there, and I'm going to maintain 2 1/8, and I'm going to clean that edge up. Once I've gotten down to here, I'm going to stop. I'm going to reposition and just keep using the measurement of 2 1/8 inches all the way around. Is my quilt perfectly square? No. Is my quilt going to be square by me doing it this way? No. But as a visual, it is going to appear to be more square because it's consistent all the way around the outside edge. So that's the way that I prefer to do this. So I am going to use my ruler and my cutter and trim all of this to 2 1/8. So I am right on there. I'm going to make sure I'm on my mat. I'm going to set this down, and I'm going to cut this. Now, I typically would never be in a sitting position when I'm cutting. I'm only doing this today so that you're able to watch. You can see I adjusted and cut. Oh, I probably didn't get through there. Sitting and cutting is not my favorite. There we go, right through there. And right through there. I'm adjusting to make sure I'm still at 2 1/8. Once I've gotten out that far, I am going to move this towards myself. This is not working sitting. There we go. I got to get more chutzpah with it. Okay, so I'm going to look again here. There's my end. I'm going to line up 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, all the way into that corner. So I am going to lose a little bit of a tip there, but I'm okay with that. I've got my cutter open. I've got some speed going this time, and all the way off the edge I go. When I go to turn, I'm going to turn this whole piece to the other direction. I'm going to look for my 2 1/8 again, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8. Now, here's what I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna look at my very bottom edge here and see how straight I am. When I've got my 2 1/8 right here, right here, right here, all the way down, I do have a little bit of a corner that I only have batting underneath my ruler. And I want to say, well, and I can see it right on my measurements here, it's 1/8 of an inch that I'm a little bit shy of having fabric, because fabric scrunches and I want to make it still look square, but I know that when I put my binding on, I'll be able to cover that. So I've got it lined up at my 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, 2 1/8, barely 1/8 of an inch there. I'm going to put it down, push it, only go out as far as I can reach, stop, check it, and pull it towards me and do the next set. I am going to finish going all the way around my quilt at the 2 1/8 inch measurements, so that way I've squared up my quilt. I love the way that that looks, and I'm ready to move on to the next step. In the next video, I will show you how to attach your binding using your sewing machine and how to put your strips together correctly. Bye for now. We'll see you next time.